What's up, y'all? It's your girl Mo of All Things Mo L. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I thought it would be fun if I answered some frequently asked questions as far as hair is concerned. A lot of people ask me about how often they should wash their hair, how often they should apply product or reapply product, as well as how often they should get a cut or get a trim. So I thought I would answer those questions today in today's video. Before we get into it though, please take a moment and go down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. And while you're down there, you might as well hit the notification bell so that you will not miss when I post new uploads. All right, so I just want to give a disclaimer before I even get into answering these questions. So everybody's hair is different. Even if I identify as having a type 4A or 4B hair, my hair is still different from another natural who might have type 4A or 4B hair, because there's other things to take into consideration like hair density, hair porosity, which I'm always preaching about. So nobody's hair is exactly the same. Therefore, it's kind of difficult for me to tell you step by step what you should be doing in your regimen. So the things that I'm going to talk about today are pretty much just tips, things that have worked for me, kind of like a guideline, but I wanted everybody to keep in mind that what works for my hair might not necessarily work for your hair, and vice versa. There might be something that works awesomely for your hair that just won't work for mine. So while I will be giving you some tips and some guidelines, just keep that in mind. So the first thing that I wanted to address is when you should cleanse your hair. And I want to start off by saying that when you want to cleanse your hair could depend on a couple different things. The first thing is that it could depend on your hair's porosity. So for example, if you are high porosity, that means that your hair loses moisture more quickly than someone who might have low porosity hair. I did a whole video where I talked about moisture. I will leave that video linked down below. But if you are a person who typically has hair that will dry out, then you might not want to shampoo your hair as often as someone like me who has low porosity hair. People with low porosity hair are more prone to product buildup, meaning they might want to cleanse their hair and their scalp more often because they want to get rid of that product in order to move on to the next style. So me, for example, I tend to cleanse my hair once a week. But again, it could vary depending on what your hair's porosity is. Your cleansing schedule can also vary depending on the type of climate that you live in and how the weather is outside just in general. So if you live in a drier climate, you might not want to shampoo your hair as often as someone who lives in a humid climate like myself. I live in Georgia. It's humid here. We're still in winter and it's humid. So I might want to do my wash day routine more often than someone who lives in like Arizona or even California. Your cleansing schedule can also depend on the type of hairstyle that you wear. So if you like to wear wash and goes like this, you might want to wash your hair more often, because when you're wearing wash and goes, at least if you do your wash and goes how I do my wash and goes, I put a lot of product in my hair when I'm doing wash and goes because I want to make sure not only are my curls going to be defined, but is my wash and go going to last. So I use a lot of product. Therefore, that's one of the main reasons why I cleanse my hair every week, especially when I'm wearing a style like this, because I have to cleanse my hair in order to be able to go on to the next style. I can't just put product on top of product on top of product. That's going to cause buildup, and then that's just going to make my hair a hot mess. So again, I like to shampoo my hair once a week. You might shampoo more often or less often depending on your hair and your hair's particular needs. So before I even go into the rest of it, you're going to see a common theme in this video. Basically, you need to just listen to your hair. The good thing about our hair is it will tell us exactly what it needs when it needs it. So as far as when to apply or reapply your products, this is really when listening to your hair comes into play. Let's talk about just moisturizing. Again, I did a whole video on moisturizing. It's going to be linked below, but I feel like your hair tells you when you need to apply products. So me, for example, I apply all of my products when I cleanse my hair. So that's once a week. I would recommend that you start off applying products, your moisturizers, your oils to seal. Do that once a week as well. If you find that throughout the week your hair starts to become dry, then you might need to reapply your product more. If you find that your hair becomes lifeless and limp as the week goes on, you might have applied too much moisture into your hair, and you might need to dial it back and apply your moisturizing products less than once a week. So it just kind of depends on what your hair is telling you at the moment. Once a week tends to work for me, especially when I'm wearing these wash and goes. I know that I can typically only get 5 to 6 days out of this kind of style before my hair is going to become dry and want more product. But what I will typically do, instead of applying more product, I'll just go ahead and wash my hair and then just start the whole thing all over, so that I'm not, again, layering product on top of product, which is going to cause product buildup, which is not cute. So when my hair starts to get dry, when it's telling me, okay sis, that wash and go has had it, it's time to move on to something else, please cleanse me, then that's when I will go in and do another wash day instead of reapplying product. Also, how often you apply or reapply products will depend on how often you wash your hair. If you're the type of person who only likes to wash their hair once a month, then you're gonna need to figure out how to add more moisture into your routine, because your hair is not going to survive with only applying product once a month. So like I said, I typically like to apply my products during my wash day, but you might need to increase that or lessen it, just depending on what your hair is telling you that it needs. So as far as when to cut or to trim, so first of all, cutting and trimming are two different things. And then we can go a step further and add dusting to it. Dusting is where you just take a little bit off here and a little bit off there, just as you see that it's needed. Trimming is where you might take an inch or two off as needed. And cutting is just when you really going in and taking inches off of your hair, maybe into a style, maybe into a shape. So those are the differences. As far as when you need to do that, again, I say listen to your hair. If you notice that your hair is starting to tangle more than normal, if it is shedding more than normal, if you are noticing more knots and single strand knots more than what is usual, if you're having a hard time detangling your hair, those are surefire signs that it is time for a cut or a trim. And you need to listen to your hair, because the last thing you want to do is allow your hair to go too long in between trims, because then whatever damage is on your ends is just going to travel up your hair shaft, which is going to cause more damage, and then you just got to start from scratch, and nobody wants to spend all this time investing into their hair for it to be for nothing. So if you start to notice some of those things, then it might be time for you to dust or to trim or to cut, depending on your preference. Also, if your hair doesn't look uniform from root to tip, meaning if you part a section of your hair to get ready to twist, for example, and you notice that your hair is a lot more full at the roots than it is once you get down to the end of your strand, then it is probably time for a trim or a cut. Your hair should look as uniform as possible going all the way down that strand. And if it doesn't, then that means that you have some damage on your ends and that those ends probably need to go. You don't necessarily have to do a big chop. You can dust or trim as your hair grows so that you're not losing a lot of length, but that is usually a good sign that you need to cut or trim your hair. I'm sure you guys have seen those pictures or those videos where, ladies are in a salon and they have their hair blown out, and then it has like the line, where is it appropriate to cut? So that's a good example where it starts to thin out as the hair length gets longer. That lets you know that that person needs a cut. I haven't had an actual haircut in probably like 4 or 5 years. I do trim my own hair, and I do that twice a year whenever I do my blowout. So I'll do that in the summertime, I'll do a trim, and in the winter months, so like in between December and January, I'll do another trim. I do dust my hair frequently, so if I'm twisting my hair up, for example, and I notice that the ends are feeling kind of dry or just like raggedy, then I'll just take my scissors and just snip little pieces off here and there. But again, the trend with all of these things is that you have to listen to your hair. Just because I get my hair trimmed twice a year does not mean that that might work for you. Some people get their hair trimmed every 6 weeks religiously, and that works for them. I have found something that works for me, and that's what I stick by. You just have to figure out what works best for you and your hair. So listen to your hair. I promise you, it will not fail you. It will tell you when it doesn't like a product. It will tell you when it needs more, when it needs less. You just have to really pay attention to how it responds to your regimen and to certain products. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Hopefully it answered your questions about your regimen and what you should be doing with your hair. If there was something that I did not address, please take a moment and go down in the comment section below. Ask whatever questions you have and I will be sure to answer them for you. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.